Hello, welcome. Today we are going to be going through the projects, as we said in the previous lesson, that we are going to be building 4 projects to master our Python skills. So we have covered much work in Python, and therefore it is the great time for us to build different projects, because it is through building projects that we can really uh, grab up the content that we are always doing. So allow me introduce to you that today we are making 4 projects. Today we are making 4 projects. As you can see there, we have a student report card generator, we have a simple banking system, an inventory management system for a small shop, data insights dashboard. So all these projects are going to equip you with the skills needed, and also to practice what we have been doing ever since we've been doing Python. So to start with, let us start with the student report card generator. So we're not going to waste a lot of time. If you're new to the channel, this is code with Kamate, and we normally deal with different programming languages. And currently we are doing Python. So subscribe if you are new. Let's dive in. So I wanted to first show you how it will look like by the time we finish it, what we should expect. So this, I've opened the command line interface, and I'm going to run the project so that you can first see what will be how it will be looking like by the time we finish it. So when we run it, we are seeing welcome to student report card generator. Enter student's name. For example, we can say James Ariho. Grade or class, for example, year 1. Enter marks for math. Those are subjects, because we are generating a report card. So marks for math like 50, marks for English 90, marks for science 70, marks for social studies 45, marks for computer 36, and it will automatically generate a report card. Names: John Ariho. Class, subjects marks, we have math, we have English, everything will be displayed like that. And the total marks is 291, the average, and the grade, and even the comment. So this is the program we shall be developing in this first project of ours. So without wasting much of the time, let's dive in. We are heading directly to our desktop, and we create a folder where we shall be storing our files and all our projects. So let's create a new folder here on the desktop. So we are creating a new folder. We can call it Python projects. So it's here, Python projects. We can open it, and we drag into, and we open it using Visual Studio Code. We can just use the terminal, or you can drag by typing code with a dot. It will automatically open in Visual Studio Code, and hope it is loading. Yeah, Visual Studio Code has opened here. Let us close this window here. Can close this, and let me close the welcome screen. So this is our folder which has been created here, which has now been dragged, Python projects. So this is where we're going to put all our projects, and to start with, we're going to create a new file, and we call it report card generator.py. As we said, all Python files must end with a .py file extension. So we press enter. So after pressing enter, even if you don't select the language, but sometimes you can select it by typing there Python, but it is not all that necessary. So after we have our, I'm going to press Ctrl B to make sidebar to collapse, so that we can have enough space for our code. So here we are ready. Those of you who don't have Visual Studio Code, you can download it from code.visualstudio.com. Now to start with, we are going to start by welcoming someone who is going to use our system. So how do we welcome them? We just print a statement here, and you can be like, welcome to the report card generator program. So as we said, after we doing this, sometimes we normally need to put a slash n to create a space, or to create a space after printing this line, so that the things are not intact. So after doing so, welcome to the report card generator program. Yes, what shall we need? We shall need to collect student name. So student name, we just equate it to, when we are collecting user input, we use an input function like this. So use an input function, and we can say enter student's name. Enter student. Now you see here they are showing an error. Why? Because when you are writing and you have an apostrophe, when you have an apostrophe somewhere, then you should use double quotes, because if you use a single quote, it means you have ended it. You have ended the what? The single quote. So when you expect to have a double quote here, then you should try to put what? You should try to put double quotes. Uh, other ways, for example, when you do like this, other ways you can put a backslash here. So when you put a backslash, it works fine, but it is not the professional way. So the professional way is using double quotes, putting this string into double quotes. Yeah, like this. So we are saying enter student's name. Let me close this terminal here. So after entering student's name, what else shall we need? We shall need to know the student's class. So student class. This is also gonna be an input, because someone is going to enter data here, and we can be enter students class. Enter students class. So as we said, these have to be double quotes. So they have to be double quotes. Let us put it in double quotes. Okay, so here we are good to go. So it means that when we run our program from this button, we are going to be, wait 1 second. Let me first close out this. So let us try to run this program and we see first, because it is better when you're running the program, you should be seeing how it is running, okay, to avoid errors. So you see it is saying welcome to report card generator program. Enter student's name. If you enter some student's name and then class, so the system is working well. So after entering the class, it is stopping from there because we have not written any other line of code. So what else do we need? Remember, we shall need subjects. We shall need subjects for these students. Remember, this system can check for many students. So we're going to store these subjects in a list. And these subjects, we are going to have subjects like math. We are going to have subjects like science. We're going to have SST, that's social studies. We are going to have English. We are going to have any other thing, maybe like Swahili or Arabic, and so many others. And maybe lastly, we can have computer. So these are our subjects. These are the subjects which we need them to appear onto the report cards. Now, after having these subjects, remember we shall need marks, because now we are entering people's marks. So where shall we put the marks? We can create a dictionary and we call it marks, which we can use to store these marks temporarily, because we are not storing them in a database. We have not yet reached into those projects, so we shall be needing database. And I think we are going there. We shall be covering those ones using different frameworks. So we shall be using this dictionary called marks to store the marks for each of the subjects. So how shall we be able to enter these marks for each of the subjects? What we are going to do, we are going to create a for loop which is going to loop through all of these subjects requesting for their marks. Okay, so how do we do that? We can say for I, or for anything like maybe subject, or something like, as we said last time when we were dealing with the loops, we can use we can use items, for item, anything. So let me use for item. So for item in subjects, what does it mean? It means that this for loop is going to loop through, is going to move through each of these subjects. That is what this is what this line 9 means. Let me zoom in by this so that you can be able to see things very well. Yeah, so for item, do I need to zoom in more? Okay, we can zoom in to this extent so that you can be able to follow very well. So for item in subjects, what should we do? We are going to enter the marks of each of the subjects. So we can say input brackets. What are we inputting? We are inputting enter, let's open quotes, enter marks for, remember now for us to access subjects, because now we are entering them for subjects. So how do we access subjects? Remember, for us we say we called it item, so it is each item. So if the for loop is moving, it is going to move to the item 1, which is math, come again for item 2, which is science. So we are going to use a formatted printing as last time we looked at. Then we are going to access the variable subject, the variable item, like this. Okay, so this means that we are entering marks for each item, okay, that is math for every subject, of course. So that is how we are going to be picking out the marks. Then after collecting this data, we should store it in a variable. We can call it like score, and these are integers because they are numbers. Yeah, these are integers. So let me see, why are they underlining int? Oh, sorry. Why are they underlining here? Wait 1 second. What is let me just close out this. Okay, so score, we are entering marks for each of the subject. Yeah, now this error is because you know, where you have to be careful when you are using your quotation marks, because now these quotation marks have to be closed at the end, not in between as I had done. They have to be closed at the end like this. So we are going to loop through for each item in subjects. So it is going to display a message, enter marks for math, enter marks for science, enter marks for etc, depending on how many subjects we have. So after that, what else are we going to have? Now, after writing these marks, we have to store them, because we have to store them temporarily, because we have to compute the average, so, and the sum. So how do we store them? Now we're going to call out our dictionary, which we call the marks. Then we access a second. So now we are going to call our dictionary. Remember, when we are storing data in the dictionary, it is in terms of key and value. So the key will be the item which we are looping into, like math, science, etc. So we're going to say item. So this is the key. Then how about the value? The value will be the score. Okay, the value is going to be the score. So it is going to be storing them like item, which is the key, like math or science or SST. Then it gives it a value of score, of which the score will have been entered by the person who is using the system, by the user. Okay, so that way we shall be storing the marks. So now, since we already have our marks, what else do we need? We now need to see how to get the total marks and the average so that we can display. But before we go into that, we can first try to see if our for loop is working well. Let's try to run the program. So when you try to run, they are saying enter student name. Okay, Kamate, press enter. Class, I can say 3. Enter marks for math. So it means our for loop is running. So what does it mean? When we come back here into our code, it means that the for loop is moving for item in subjects. Each item in these subjects, math. So they're saying enter marks for math, like maybe 90. Press enter. You see now they are saying enter marks for science, the next item. Maybe 12. Enter marks for SST, etc, etc. So let us just fill them everything. You see, so our for loop is running very well. And after running this, let me close the terminal. And after running this, we are storing it where? We are storing it in our dictionary in form of key and value. So from there, what else do we need? We also need to know the total marks of the students, because we shall need to display it, and the average. So how do we get the total marks? We just need to sum up what? To sum up, sum is a function, so we are summing up marks, which is the dictionary dot values. So what does this mean? What does this mean? Now this means that the dictionary has a key and a value. So we are just summing up only the values in that dictionary. So if you have math 50, science 20, SST 50, then you're going to sum up those values, and you're going to store them in a variable called total marks. Okay, so that's how you get the total marks, is by summing up the values in the dictionary. Okay, so that will be the total. Then how do we get the average? To get the average, let us just create a variable called average. Now to get the average, we are going to get the total marks, which we have got from up there, total marks. Then we divide it by the number of subjects. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But now if we can divide it by 6 like this, but there is another better way. When you press shift R and down arrow just to duplicate this line of code, we are going to find out that for us to divide, when we divide by 6, how about if someone comes there and adds another subject, like maybe another subject, like maybe RE as a subject. So it means now when we are dividing by 6, it means our average will be excluding RE, which has been added as a subject. So how do we handle that? To avoid this error, we divide it by, call a function called len of subjects. So what does this mean? This means that the len function normally counts the number of items in a list. So len subjects means len of the number of items in the subject, such that even if you add more, it will not affect our calculation. So let us remove this line of code and remain with this one. I can even delete some of these empty spaces. Yeah. Okay, so now here we have our average. So now after getting our average, we need not to assign grades. So as I told you, sometimes you have to use comments. Yeah, so we are now going to assign grades basing on average. Okay, so we're going to assign grades basing on average. So how do we assign grades? Now here, this is now where the power of if function comes in. So remember, we already have our average stored in the variable called average. So when we say that if average is greater or equal to 90, what should we I think here there's a space. We have to remove that space. Okay, so if average is greater or equal to 90, what grade should we give? We can give a grade equals like maybe a plus. Remember, we are storing this in a variable called grade. Why do we do that? Because when we are displaying the report card, we shall call the grade. So the grade will be depending on the average of the person. So someone's average is going to lead to the execution of the grade corresponding to that average. Okay, so that is if average is greater or equal to 90, then the grade should be a plus. Else if write it like this, if average is greater or equal to 80, what should we say? Grade, we can give them a. Then we can have another if statement, so we can copy this and we place shift alt and down arrow. This is on Windows, shift alt down arrow like 3 times. So we said if the average is greater or equal to 80, then the grade is A. How about if the average is greater or equal to 70? What grade can we give them? We can give them a B. This is 70, sorry. We can give them a B. Then how about if the average is greater or equal to 60? We can give them a C. And how about if average is greater or equal to 50? We can give them a D. Then I think below 50, then it means that the grade should be F, because below 50 you have failed. So we shall say else right, else grade equals F. Else grade equals F. So for all other values which are not in this range of 90 to 50, 50 and above, that is 50 and below, no, 49 and the up to 0, that is a grade of F. So having done that, so it means our report card will be having what? It will be having our student name, our student class. We already have the subjects and the marks, and we already have the gradings. So now what is remaining is to display the report card. I'm writing a comment. Display the report card. So how do we display the report card? We can first print out, we can put a line and we say a report card. Okay, after saying report card, then we now need to print someone's name, someone's class, plus the subjects and their marks. So let us print someone's name. You can use the formatted print, whereby we are going to have name. And now the name, remember someone at the beginning requested for their names. So we are just going to, on line 2, we requested for student name. So we are going to use this variable student name to access its contents. So we come here and we open these curly brackets and we put in student name. So they will display student name there. The same thing we do with class. Class, we have to pick the variable for class, that is students class. We copy it down and we bring it here. Okay, so here we are displaying the student's name and the student's class. From there, what else are we displaying? Now we have to display all the subjects plus their marks. So how do we do that? We can have a print function for the subjects. We can have a print function for the subject marks. print function for the subject marks. And now how are we going to access, oh sorry, this has to be like this. So now how are we going to access the marks? Now remember, our marks are stored in our dictionary, so we stored them using this line of code here. Marks into item value. This is the key and the value. So our marks are stored in our dictionary. So for us to get them, we can make a loop that is going to go through this dictionary. To go through the dictionary, it picks the subject plus the marks. So how do we do that? We can write a for function, a for loop. So we can just say access the marks from the dictionary. So how do you access the marks from the dictionary? We said we are going to use a for loop. So we are going to say for. Now, as we said, we can use I or anything. Let us maybe say for item. So we are looping through. Remember, a dictionary does have two things: a key and value, as we said in our previous lessons. So the key, so we are looping through the key and its score. So we're going to say for item and score. Okay, so we are looping into the key and the pair. So for item score in marks, that is our dictionary name, dot items, the items in the dictionary. Okay, so this is how I write the for loop to loop through the dictionary. So we are using item and score because we are using a key. So we are looping through the key and the value, which are in marks.items. So we are accessing the items of the dictionary. So that's where we are looping from. So what should we do? We are printing, let's use a formatted printing. So we are printing, what are we printing? As we go there, we are going to print the item, which is the key, plus the score. So we're going to say item. Remember, I have to use curly brackets to access it, item, and then score. I hope it is clear. So in case you are not understanding, you can pause the video and you review it, or you can ask in the comment section. This is how we access this. So for item, well, it will be printing out the item plus its score. Then from there, it means now we already have our student name, the class, now the subject marks. They will be displayed by this for loop because it will be looping through the dictionary, showing the marks. So what else? Now we also need to display now the total marks, and you display the average and the grade of the student. So how do we display the total marks? We are going to say print, then we can say, we can use formatted printing, and formatted printing like this, and we say total marks. Then remember, our total marks, we stored our total marks in a variable called total marks here, which was summing up marks.values, the values in the dictionary. So we come here and we say, so total marks, we are going to get them like this. So this is total marks. What else do we need? We also need to access the average and the grade. So average, then where did we store our average? So we stored our average in a variable called average. Okay, so we can copy the variable name, then we come here and we paste it. This is average. We also need grade. Have grade, so we stored grade in a variable called grade, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let's double check. Yeah, stored it in grade. Okay, so that is it. So remember, someone's average, this is average. Okay, there is a spelling error. Okay, so now after having the grade, what else do we need? We can have comment, but let us first run through and we see if it is running. Through our terminal, we see how far we've gone. So enter student's name. Let's take an example of Kamate class year 2. Marks for math 90, 45, 80, 74, 62, 63, 86. So you see, after doing that, what is it bringing? It is bringing total marks, which is year average. Yeah, this figure we have to round it off to like 2 decimal places, and it is also able to bring the grade. So we are in the right place, we're in the right track. So let's go and we handle what? And after total, where is total? Here we can have a slash n to create a new line so that things don't get intact. Then our average is displaying a large figure, so we need to see how to how to how to round it off to 2 decimal places. So how do we do that? It is just by putting 2f. Okay, yeah, 2f means 2 decimal places. So other things are working fine. So what else do we need to display? We need now comments. So what comment are we going to be having? We are going to have a comment. Comments. Yeah. So under comments, we are going to say that if grade, because we are basing on our grade, if someone's grade is like A or A plus, then you should give them a motivational message. If it is an F, then they should work hard. So if grade in, then we can create a list in A plus, comma, A. Okay. So what should we say? Should we say, oh, excellent, excellent. Okay. So you can say excellent. That is if grade is in A plus or is A. That is excellent. How about if grade is B or C? The other thing which you have to know is when I say if grade in, I don't mean is. So in Python, we don't have is, we use in. So if grade in A plus or A, okay, we don't say is. Take note of that. So what are you printing in case someone has an A, I mean someone has a B or a C. If someone has a B or a C, we can say we can just say good. Okay, we can say good. So whom have we not catered for? D. Okay, we have not catered for D. Now L if grade. Now remember here, now we are going to access D. So for us to access D, we cannot, this one, actually this is a mistake. This one has to be a list, not a tuple. It has to be a list, sorry for that. Yeah, so now if the grade is a D, what does it mean? It means that it being a D means that it is not going to be stored in a list because we just want one value of a D. So you can just say if it is equal to D, like this. So this is how we say equals. We use 2 of them. Okay. If we want to say not equal to, we use this one. But now equals is this one. So if grade is D, then we can print and we say can do better. Okay. So else, that is now for people who are below D. Print. We can say failed. Then even you can use an emoji by pressing Windows logo key and a dot. You can choose this and we say failed. Okay, actually for this one of excellent, it's better if we could display Windows with a dot, then we put something like congratulations. Congratulations, like this one. Okay, good. So I think let's try to run the program and see if this will be able to bring for us what we want. Sometimes you, okay, fine. Enter student's name, or let's say James. Then student's class maybe at 4. Then marks for math 90, 40, 30, 10, 20, 1, 3. Okay, so this one has total marks of 1 over 194. Oh, average did not round off. Let's go back to our code and we see why average is not rounding off. Under average, we had to use 2f. Yes, oh, okay. Yeah, we forgot a dot. Yeah, this is dot 2f. Okay, yeah, dot 2 decimal places at the end. Okay, so let's try to add another person who has maybe an excellent mark, and we see student's name. I wish I can also have a line at the beginning just to create good work. So let's run the terminal again. So welcome student's name, Kamate, to enable, then class, yeah, one, max. So this should be excellent because we want to check if excellent comment is going to work. 80, 79, 98, 100, 78, 95, okay, fine. So total is 620, average is 88. We forgot some columns here, you can add them, and the grade is excellent. Wow, so that is it for the report card. I hope it is enjoyable. You can try it by yourself. As you said, you have to learn by doing. So you can try it by yourself and you also see how it is able to come out. So that is it about our student report card. Our next is going to be a simple banking system. So it is going to be the next. Okay, yeah.